Okay, so let's look at the UAE's car market. I'm joined on the line by Craig Stevens. He's the founder of the DubiCars used cars marketplace. Really good sense of an overview of the market and also consumer sentiment. Craig, thanks for joining us on the line. How are you?
Oh, very well, thanks. How are you?
I am very well indeed as well. Thank you very much indeed. So tell me, what is the sort of overarching attitude, in your view, of consumers towards electric cars in this market? Do you think we like them?
Oh, do I think we like them? I think we're intrigued by them, and I think there are definitely some motorists like yourself who are very excited by them. I think what we're seeing is that people who do an electric cars, and actually I'd be interested to ask you this question, normally have a couple of cars, so it's not their only car. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, husband has a Pajero, so yes.
Yeah, okay, and that gives you some sense of comfort, I guess, just in case you do ever have a charging issue, that you've got a backup car to use.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. The range anxiety is extreme, particularly because we haven't got a proper home charger yet. We're basically charging it off a kettle lead, as far as I can tell.
Right, okay. But I think there is genuine, I think people are interested and they're intrigued, but I think what outweighs that interest and intrigue is concern. And I think that's where we've got to get the balance right between dealing with some of the concerns, and range anxiety is definitely one of those concerns. I think the other concern is price. What's this car going to be worth in 2, 3, 4 years' time? I think the other concern is battery. Is this battery going to last? If it's not going to last, do I have to replace it? How much is the battery going to cost? Battery technology is evolving all the time. In 2, 3 years' time, is there going to be a new super battery, which I think there probably will be? Does that replace the batteries we've got now and therefore make our cars defunct, the ones that are running on the old battery? So I think there are lots of concerns around that. So that has to be dealt with. I think the other thing...
Oh, sorry, carry on. No, you carry on.
I just think the thing that we need to think about is, the motivation to get someone to switch from a petrol engine to an EV. I mean, petrol engines here are very well priced. Petrol is very well priced compared to anywhere else I've lived, for sure. As we spoke about previously, there's a fuel ferry who fills your car up at night time, so I don't have the pain of going to a petrol station. And the rewards of me switching to an electric vehicle at the moment aren't great. I mean, free parking and a few bits and bobs, but nothing that's actually really motivating me to think about making that switch. So it's a big investment, and at the moment the rewards aren't clear as to why I'd make that investment.
How about hydrogen cars? Is there a possibility that we might skip over this sort of electric phase and we'll look back and go, a bit like mini discs? We'll look back and go, do you remember mini discs? Everyone used those for about a year and now they're completely defunct. Do you think that we might just skip mini discs and electric cars and move straight to hydrogen?
I don't think we're going to skip electric cars, but I do think electric cars is only part of the future for mobility. Excuse me. So I think, definitely if you look at the Japanese and look at Toyota specifically, which obviously is the biggest manufacturer of cars in the world, I mean, they were clear that they didn't think EVs were the future and it was hydrogen, and they've been very late coming to the party with bringing EVs. They've finally started to bring a range of EVs to the market, but I think they're doing that just to make sure they're in the game, because obviously if they haven't got an EV range, there are some parts of the world where they won't be able to sell cars in the future, so they've got to have EVs to be part of the game. But they're definitely banking on the fact that hydrogen is a cleaner, more efficient, more effective fuel, and that's where they're putting billions of yen and dollars into research.
So Elon Musk reckons that in the not too distant future that car ownership will disappear. And that, in fact, what we'll be doing is just borrowing each other's cars because they'll be autonomous, and that therefore there'll be no need for anyone to actually buy a car. And so never mind the hydrogen argument, never mind the electric argument. What it's going to be instead is whether you own your car and keep it private or whether you're part of the wider community. Do you think there's a chance of that happening in this region, knowing as you do consumer sentiment?
I think there's so many things that need to change for that to become a reality. I think it will happen. But whether that's 20 years time or 70 years time, there's so many hurdles that we've got to get through to get to that stage. Now, I can definitely see it happening, right? I mean, can I see a world where we have Kareem without a driver. No offense to the drivers, but can I see that kind of network where it's efficient, where you can call it through your app, and when it's not being used, it's being charged. I mean, don't forget, on average, a car is only used for 5% of the day. For 95% of the time, it's not moving. So it's not a very efficient way of mobility. So I can definitely see us taking small steps to that. But you think about what's actually got to change. I mean, almost the technology part of it is the easy bit to get a car to drive itself. It's the regulatory framework. It's how do you get to a stage where you accept the fact that the car is actually doing the driving. And if the car doesn't perform the way it should and an accident happens, who takes responsibility for that? There's so many issues around that. And then you've even got just public sentiment. You know, if you look at how many people actually use self-parking on their car, which is an autonomous part of driving, I think it's something like 12% of people who have the feature use it.
Yeah, I'm scared of it. It's on my Tesla, but I'm scared of it.
Yeah, well, why are you scared of it?
Because what if it crashes? I mean, I'm more likely to crash. I know logically I'm more likely to crash, but I mean, there's another thing. I don't know how to do it yet. I've got to work it out. I've only had the car a couple of weeks. Most of the gadgets I don't know how to use yet.
Well, I think there's a big study that was done in America. I think only something like 20% of the technology in a car is ever used by the majority of people. So don't worry, you're not alone. But realistically, if you're at a stage where you've gone down that route, you've bought an EV, but yet you're still slightly concerned about just reverse parking it, you know, how are you going to feel at 120 kilometres an hour in the outside lane sitting in the back seat?
Yeah, you crystallise a very fair point there. There's absolutely not a chance that I'm anywhere near that. Oddly enough, the car can do this lane thing, and with the cruise control, it can stay 3 cars back from somebody else. So there's a certain autonomous element to the Tesla already, and we tried it on the motorway down to Abu Dhabi the other day. Huge thanks there to Craig Stevens, the founder of the DubiCars used cars marketplace. Great to have you on the line to get a sense